In this lesson, we're diving into envelope generators. So what do they do? Envelope generators control how the signal progresses over time. You can use envelope generators to control things like the volume of the sound, the filter cutoff, making your sound evolve and morph as you play. Okay, so we have a nice pulse width modulated sound, which we control by pressing and releasing the keys on our keyboard. And you may think, well, great, that's it. But I'm picky. And I want the sound to die out gradually before I release my key. So in other words, I want to control it, in this case, the amplitude of the signal over time. Let's add the ADSR. ADSR stands for attack, decay, sustain, release. And it's a set of values that control how the signal behaves over time. This set of parameters is called the envelope generator, or EG for short. So let's run the gate of the MIDI to CV into this gate. Input on the ADSR. Now the output of the ADSR, where it says ENV, short for envelope, went into CV1 on the mixer. And the VCF still goes into the in1 on the mixer. Now the ADSR will shape my signal so I can decide how it progresses when I press a key. This is a great module because it has a visual representation of what's actually going on. Let's go through it. A stands for attack, and it controls how long the signal takes to reach the peak level when the gate is high. So I'm holding the key so that the gate stays open. For this punchy bass, I want a short attack, so a very quick initial start. If I was working on a pad sound, I would probably use a longer attack, so the sound would kind of glide in to reach the peak, like this. Now, the second phase of the envelope, the decay, controls the time it takes from the peak signal reached in the attack stage to reach the sustain level when the gate is high. So when I press the key and I'm holding it, and that's the decay stage. The sustain is the only different quality than the rest of the parameters in this module. It controls the amount of voltage being sent while decaying. So let's have a listen. I'm holding a key while adjusting the sustain. Now the release controls how quickly the signal dies out when the gate is low, so when I release a key. Let me take the release to the max. And now when I press my key, right, and here I release the key, but the sound is still playing, slowly fading out, even though the gate is closed. That was the release. So let's go back to our bass patch, and for something short and punchy, I want a short attack, moderate decay, sustain low-ish, and a higher release. Okay, let's now test how this sounds. Now this sounds okay, right? But not good enough for me. ADSRs don't have to be used just to control the amplitude of the sound. What if we wanted to control the filter with it? Let's try. Let's add a second ADSR. This envelope will control our filter over time. So how do we go about this? Let's focus. I know I want to use the second envelope to control the VCF. Here is the envelope output, and what do I connect it to? I want to control the cutoff over time. So this goes into the cutoff CV input. Let's also attenuate this modulation, otherwise there'll be no effect. We'll use this small CV knob here. Okay, great, but how will this envelope know when to start? It needs a gate, right? Exactly the same gate as our first envelope. So I press the key and both envelopes start working. Let's add the second VCA to get the signal out from our filter and run it into our mixer, but also to have it controlled by the first envelope to keep things nice and tidy. So what am I doing here? I will take the filtered signal from the mixer, patch it to the input on this VCA. Okay, now I will take it out and run it back to the mixer and the gate to the CV here. Now this is tidy. And you see how you can use multiple VCAs in your patch. And now let's play with the ADSR envelopes. The first envelope, which controls the loudness over time, will have a short attack, medium decay, lower sustain, and higher release. This envelope controls the amplitude or the loudness of our VCA and how it behaves over time. The second envelope is controlling the brightness over time. I want it to be similar, but I kind of like this swoosh effect. So I'm going to increase the sustain a bit and maybe put the release somewhere in the middle. And of course, I'm going to increase the resonance on the filter a bit, just because I like resonance. And here we go. No longer a flat sound. This is the ADSR on the filter doing its job. I will mute the sound for now as I play around with these settings. I just want to say that envelope generators can be confusing for a while, but this ADSR module is great because it tells you what each step does. It's actually visualized, so don't be alarmed if you can't get right straight away, or just have fun and practice. Okay, but wait, we have this noise module. So let's actually use it. So what do we want to achieve? Maybe I want to mix these signals. So the VCO and the noise, run it together into the filter. Let's try this. And this is because I just want some grit in this patch. So let's actually use another VCA to combine two signals together. And let's use VCA mix. And the square wave will go into the channel 1. And the noise into the second channel. Like so. Okay, now both the VCO and the noise run together into this mix. So I need this blended signal and pass it into the filter. Let's test this, maybe loud. Yeah, cool, if you like harsh EBM. But for me the noise is too loud, so let's use this slider as attenuate and just make the noise quieter a bit. I use the pink noise, but feel free to experiment. Okay, let's say I'm happy with this. Now one last trick. If you're using your computer keyboard as MIDI to CV, you may have noticed the octave range is quite limited, so let's quickly expand this. I'm typing OCT for octave, and this module can switch between octaves. So just run the volt per octave from the MIDI to CV into this OCT before you run it into the volt per octave on the VCO. Now let's test this. I'll be pressing the same key for a while. And that's our first patch using subtractive synthesis. Now, as usual, try to recreate this, and I encourage you to take your time and practice whenever you can. And most importantly, have fun.